What's going on YouTube? So the Ford Escape has always been a very popular compact SUV in the Ford lineup. However, when the latest generation came out, the Bronco Sport kind of stole some of its thunder. However, it is now time for a mid-cycle refresh for the Escape, and it's hoping to kind of gain back some of that previous popularity that it has had in the past. Ford has added several new styling elements and things inside and out to make this a more compelling product than before. So let's go ahead and dig right in and take a first look. So let's get started here with the exterior design. Now, as you know, when brands do mid-cycle refreshes, usually a place where they primarily focus is the front-end design. Indeed, Ford has done the same thing with the Escape. So you can probably tell right off the bat that quite a bit of things have changed. You'll notice we have the latest evolution of the Ford grille. It's a little bit more rounded, a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder than before. And we have the nice prominent Ford emblem right there in the middle. Of course, what you're probably noticing more than any other element, though, is the fact that we have a light bar that runs across the front of the grille. This is going to be part of the Elite models, so if you choose to have that on several different trim levels, including the new ST line trim level, which is actually what we're filming today. This is a brand new trim level, kind of adds the sporty elements, but at a more attainable price point. That's where you'll get the light bar. Initially, when I walked up to it, I did think that it kind of connected in with the daytime running light, but actually there's a gap and it's a little bit brighter than the daytime running lights. So it doesn't quite have that integrated look like some of the other products that you may have seen this look on, but it is still a cool look in general. And if we go over to the headlights, you're gonna notice nice LED headlights, like I was saying. Nice looking daytime running lights, almost BMW-esque in that overall appearance. Standard reflectors, we do have the projectors on this high-end example, and then you also have LED fog lamps below. Next up, let's go ahead and take a look at our wheels. We do have a nice looking set of wheels here on board. These are going to be 19-inch alloy wheels, finished in a gloss black for the ST line model. And overall, very nice and sleek appearance, especially with this red paint color. The new ST line does have its own badge right there. As far as the mirrors, you know, you can expect to see the same kinds of features as always, including blind spot monitoring. And as Mason kind of pulls back to the side, give you guys a good look at this. The Escape is not really going to be any different on the side than it was previously. So you're going to have that same look. Of course, you know, with Ford, they've really kind of made the Escape is the sleeker, more urban looking crossover. And then of course, if you prefer the more squared off, then that's where you can step in and get the Bronco Sport instead. Do have nice roof rails up top as well. And I'll let Mason kind of come around to the back here. In the back, a lot more subtle changes have taken place versus in the front. So we still have the kind of a similar look, Ford branding, Escape badge, windshield wiper, but the taillights have also been revised this year, so we do have LED accents and a slightly different look overall. This is an all-wheel drive model, and I'll talk a little bit about the powertrains in just a little bit. And then down below, I do like that we have dual exposed exhaust outlets. Let's hop on to the inside of the Escape. So as soon as I get inside, I'm noticing some animations here on this display, as well as our digital gauge cluster. It looks pretty nice. And like I said, this is a relatively high-end example that we're looking at today. So, you know, first impressions here, it does look like Ford has made some improvements to the cabin. You know, the interior was a little bit on the order of cheap for the previous model year. So I think Ford definitely went in and tried to make things more upscale to compete with the competitors, including these seats. So I'm noticing these seats look quite expensive here. They're of course finished in leather. We've got a lot of color contrast stitching and this really advanced and exclusive looking quilted stitching design for this Elite model. Now continuing to look around the interior, some of the other changes I'm noticing The positioning of the push button start button is in a different area. It's kind of integrated in here at this area, so that looks nicer than before. I think that's where the climate controls previously were, so it appears that those are going to be controlled by the display for 2023 model year. Speaking of displays, 13.2 inches for this display, so that's very large for this class of vehicle. Perhaps one of the largest. Don't quote me on it, but that might be the largest in the class. We do also have a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. Ford's always very good with the graphics, and this is no exception. They look very crisp on board. Coming back to the steering wheel, very nicely done, thick rimmed, heavily bolstered, perforated on the sides, color contrast stitching, flat bottomed, so it feels good in the hand. Manual tilt and telescoping. I don't know if it's heated or not on this trim level. If it was, it would probably be inside of the display. Let's take a look at our console. Looks pretty big, plenty of space. Belt lining down there at the bottom. Got your 2 cup holders right there. Large storage area in front of that. This is going to be a wireless phone charging pad as well. And then we also have that, signature Ford rotary shifter. Very simple to use. You just twist for drive, turn to the R for reverse. You'll continue to have, the availability of a 360 camera for this Escape as well. And you've got your electronic parking brake. Up top, you've got an auto-dimming mirror, and it's not open right now, but we do also have a panoramic sunroof. Let's hop into the back seats next. Okay, so all in all, feels pretty spacious. I believe this seat is actually almost all the way back, and I'm 5'8". Looks pretty spacious back here for someone of my size. I've got enough leg room, lots of foot room. The seat's really elevated off the ground, and also this is relatively flat as far as the middle seat as well. So I'm happy with this amount of space. I don't know the exact dimension right off the top of my head, but I think the Escape has always been pretty competitive with the segment. Not the best, but not the worst. As far as the seats, they've got that same nice looking design back here with the quilting and stuff as well. We do have a fold-down armrest with cup holders inside. We have rear vents. Looks like 2 USB ports down there at the bottom. We have a map pocket on just this side. And taking a look at the door trim, it's got that same kind of textured plastic. It is going to be soft touch. No, it's going to be hard touch, excuse me, in the back, but it does have those lines drawn in it. And then you've got a little pad down there for your arm to rest on. Let's go ahead and check out the cargo area. Of course, we do have the power tailgate. And looks pretty spacious in here, just like you would expect. Ford didn't change this area, so you do have a class competitive amount of space. The seats are going to fold 60-40 split. We also have a retractable cargo cover. That way no one can see your stuff in the back. Let's check underneath the floor here and see if there's anything interesting. We do have a spare tire. I know a lot of you guys like to see that, and a lot of rivals have actually eliminated spare tires. All right, so let's talk about what is under the hood for the refreshed Escape. Well, one of the best things about the Escape is that it's always had a very wide variety of powertrain choices. That is continue for this refresh model. You've actually got 4 different powertrain options. So you've got a standard 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder. That's 180 horsepower. That's your base engine. You can upgrade to the 2-liter EcoBoost engine, just like last year. I think that's 250 horsepower. And then you further have 2 hybridized options. So you have a regular hybrid model, and you also have a plug-in hybrid model, which is actually what I'm standing next to right now. Now, which transmission you get will vary depending on which powertrain you choose. If you choose the plug-in hybrid, though, I am happy to report that it has 37 miles of pure electric range. So that's a very good number for a plug-in hybrid. That's going to allow you to, drive to work, go on your usual daily route, oftentimes without ever having to dip into the gasoline engine. The base price of this model will be $27,500. If you want the plug-in hybrid, the base price is $38,500. However, keep in mind that this should qualify for a federal tax credit, depending on your personal circumstance, but it is built in the United States, or Mexico maybe. It's built in North America. I can't remember where it's built. But one way or the other, you should qualify for a tax credit. Well guys, thanks so much for joining us for this in-depth first look at the 2023 Ford Escape. It's been a long day here at the Los Angeles Auto Show, but we hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at the Ford Escape. And make sure you go down below and subscribe